Okay, so this is the second part of our personnel and payroll cycle. So this time we will be discussing about the control procedures for the treasurer's department as it applies to the payroll cycle. Okay, because the treasurer's department has other functions as well aside from the uh, their responsibility for paying of salaries and wages. So if you could notice under the expense and disbursement cycle, treasurer's department are also involved in the disbursement or payment of the expenses. Okay, so here are the following policies and procedures that they can apply, okay, for this department, which applies to the payroll cycle. First, pre-numbered checks should be used and accounted for. So again, the entity may use the checks, okay, in paying for the salaries and wages of their employees. That is to control the disbursement of cash, okay, and also to avoid theft of cash. So that's why it's pre-numbered and through the use of checks. Next, the payroll checks will be forwarded to the treasurer, and this should be compared with the listings in the payroll register to make sure that those who are listed in the register will have their paychecks and with the correct amount, okay, that is stated there. The treasurer should also sign the paycheck. So this is a form of control, okay, for the encashment and also for the authorization of the release of the payment for salaries and wages. Okay, so if permissible, the paycheck should be distributed by a paymaster. So there should be a paymaster, okay, who is independent of both the operating and the payroll department. So to remove this is done so that uh, opportunities for department supervisors to terminate employees without the knowledge of the dismissal from payroll and divert the checks for their own use will be avoided. Okay, so for example, if the payment was made or distributed by the supervisor, then if there is an employee who did not claim it, then the supervisor may keep that check for himself, okay, or those things or like that, okay, will exist or occur. So that's why a paymaster should be uh, employed, okay, for the purpose of the distributing the salaries and wages of the employees. Next, employees should be present or should present, any form of a ID before they will receive their paychecks. So aside from the names, okay, and the presence of the employee, so there should also be an ID, okay, which serve as a proof that that person who receives it is indeed an employee of the entity. Okay, so this will be um, checked by the payroll master before uh, distributing the paycheck. Next is the employees who receive the cash payroll should be asked to sign a receipt. Okay, so in this case, for example, if the entity is distributing cold cash as salaries and wages to their employees, so there should be a receipt or logbook for the receipt of the salaries and wages to be signed by the employees who received it. Okay, this is for the purpose of controlling the distribution of the salaries and wages. So the conversion or production cycle, so this encompasses the okay, sorry, that was another slide. Okay, so this is the continuation. For the treasurer's department still, so this is another policy or procedure that they may apply. Okay, so any unclaimed cash payrolls should be deposited in a special bank account, or they can also use the separate bank account for the payroll. Okay, so that in case the employee will claim it, there is a fund that is available. And of course, if that is unclaimed still, they can use that for the next payment or payroll period. Okay, another is payroll summary should also be prepared, and this document will be sent to the general accounting for recording. Okay, so normally this is from the HR and personnel department, okay, as mentioned before in our previous video lecture, where they prepare the payroll register and summary. Okay, so this will be the basis for the accounting for the record of such transaction. And lastly, employees who handle cash, normally this is the treasurer, should be covered by fidelity bond. This is a form of insurance which protects the company against losses caused by dishonest employees. So we've mentioned this also under the disbursement cycle, where the treasurer or someone who handles the cash should be bonded. Okay, again, the purpose of this is to protect the entity from loss of these dishonest employees in case of theft of cash. Okay, so those are the different control procedures for the various departments under the personnel and payroll department cycle.